Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is April 9th, the day after the eclipse in the middle of the United States yesterday, and you've joined the Kubeflow community call. This is a call that's being recorded, and it is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct. I would hope everyone would adhere to the policies thereof. Today we have a pretty good agenda with several topics. We always start with the release update. So I think we might start there. And do we have somebody from the release team that would like to provide an update on our releases?
Yeah, I can do this.
Okay, Ricardo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Josh. So one on updates. Let's uh let's just recap a little bit. Our expectation is to have our feature freeze next Monday, the April 15th. So far we got from our last release meeting, we have a pretty good track of all the tests that's missing to finish the feature freeze. I'm also working on some of the pipelines tests for that. So I'm pretty sure we'll have um, a good feature freeze for Kubeflow 9, and then we'll start syncing the manifest and working on the RC0 so we can finally start the distribution testing with all the other parties involved. For those who are working with the release meeting, take a deep breath, hold on. We're almost there to finish the feature freeze, and then we'll finally have a good release for Kubeflow with all the good stuff we're working since mid-January. So for 181, we finally released 181. I posted the link to the tag we just released. Like I said, it's just RC0 content, so it comes with pipelines updates and Kserve. Unfortunately, we could not make any progress with the notebooks side, but I'll see if we can observe this work for 1.9 release. Let's just recap all the work that's being done for the notebooks working group so far, and then we can decide if we can put this into RC0 for 1.9 or if we need if we still need work for notebooks. I think that's it. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to chime in. All right. I think that's it. Back to you, Josh.
Okay, I have a quick question. When do you expect the distribution testing to start?
So our schedule says that feature freeze will be April 15th. Then we'll start working on documentation updates and the manifest sync. Counting 2 weeks after the feature freeze dates, we'll have our first RC0, and then distributions test is expected to start. So I'll ping all the parties involved with the distribution testing and start asking them to test RC0 and give us all of the feedback needed for bug fixes that needs to work for upcoming RCs releases. And our expectation is July 8th to have Kubeflow 1.9 final released.
Yeah, my kind of my advice here, and there's probably some of the folks from the distributions on the call, is to make sure that the distributions acknowledge the dependencies. They have about 3 weeks to get their testing environments together. And then just see if they're going to be ready to test at the early May, right? But this is great news, way to keep the ball rolling. Any requests of the community or anything you need in particular? Ricardo, Stefano, anything you need in particular, or are you all good?
I think we're good so far.
You want to jump into the
Let's
CI environment discussion?
okay. So this this topic came with the pipelines working group. We've been dealing with a lot of issues with testing PRs for pipelines. And one of the biggest challenges we have for pipelines working group today is that all the CI infra is hosted under Google's CI infra. And then I was discussing with Stefano last week about the possibility to, as part of the graduation test, to also transition the CI environment for all of the Kubeflow components to a CNCF hosted CI environment. I got some information about the CNCF hosted tools. It looks like it's the same that we use for the Google hosted CI environment. So I believe there won't be any further changes to do to have those tests working on CNCF hosted CI environment. Probably there will be some specific things that pipelines use today that sticks to their CI environment. But yeah, I just wanted to start bringing that discussion because this is becoming a pain on the pipelines working group to get access to the CI environment. Actually, we cannot get any access on their Google CI environment, which makes things harder to troubleshoot issues with PRs that are coming. So I'd like to hear from all the other working groups if that's the same pain and if it's something we could start working maybe separately.
Okay, do we have folks from the working groups here?
Yes, sometimes the CI/CD is unreliable also for the manifest repository. I'm not sure whether it's using the Google CLI, but as Google testing infrastructure, but at least it's not always responsive.
So do I understand that's a desire for the manifest team to move to the CNCF tools for environment?
At least I'm open to it. I have to ask Kimonos as well, but yeah.
Right. Do we have anybody from training?
I just joined now.
Hmm.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
the CI environment that you use, what's that?
We are using the standard GitHub CI.
Mhm.
So we are not using any external cloud for our CI testing. We are using the GitHub CI itself.
John, thank you for mentioning that. I forgot to say that one of the hosted tools for CI/CD that CNCF provides can be either on the Pro environment that I posted the link in the meeting notes, but there's also an option to use GitHub Actions for a CI environment. Of course, if it's the desire of all the working groups to move to GitHub Actions, there will be a need to rewrite all their tasks to fulfill all the requirements to have and them working on GitHub Actions. I think my question here is more about, is it something that it's up to the working groups to choose their own CI environment and then ask the KSC to support on having them hosted by CNCF, or we should work on a unified CI environment for all the working groups?
Yes. So one question before that, like for the CNCF, is it free to use, and do we have any restrictions for that?
I no idea about restrictions. All I see from the CNCF resources is just the info is there available for all the CNCF projects. I was going to ask the CNCF guys for more information. They asked me to open a ticket, but I cannot do this because I'm not listed as the project maintainers. So if anyone that's listed as the project maintainer could open that ticket and get more information about that, it would be great.
Sure. So do we have currently for GitHub CI? I'm curious to see, like, do you have some blockers right now due to resources for your repository?
So Pipelines uses Google's CI infra, and from what I got, Julius and from Manifest Working Group also uses Google CI environment. And that's kind of a pain for us because we cannot get any access on the their CI environment. So we're trying to blind guess what is the problem with the CI test and try to fix them. But it's more of a trial and error steps than something that could be more agile.
We might be using GitHub Actions as well. I'm just not sure which infrastructure is being used and who's paying for it.
So I'll
from
just,
what I got, it's
go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no matter what is the pro environment or the Google GitHub Actions, my understanding is that this is all baked by CNCF. I think it's just a matter of choosing what is the CI environment Kubeflow wants to use. And then I think we need to start that ticket with the CNCF to see what needs to be done to get access to this CNCF hosted CI environment, no matter if it's pro environment or GitHub Actions. I believe for GitHub Actions, there will be like a plan that we can use as many resources we can, or there's a bigger amount of resources available to have our CI environment.
Yes, so I'll just give a very brief history how this has happened, right, and why we switched to GitHub CI. So as all other repositories, we started with Google CI during the initial Kubeflow days, and then at one point, working groups decided to go on themselves, right, regarding all the roadmaps, etc. So we were forced to switch, and AWS provided credits for using their infra. So for a year, they have given credits, and we started using. So from Google, we switched to the AWS CI. But after that, there was a brief period where we didn't have enough credits in AWS, and we had lots of discussion during that time, and we wanted to actually go with some solution which was kind of like where we can take our own decisions, right? Because the more we depend on other providers, we were forced to make switches from one to the other, and it was not easy for us. And that was one reason that we thought, unless we see long-term commitment on providing infra, we decided that we will actually switch to GitHub CI. So the problem that we actually had with GitHub CI was on the resources per VM, because it was actually pretty less. It is just 2 vCPU and 8 gig, if I remember correctly. But recently, and because of which, in CATIP specifically, in training operator, it was okay. But in CATIP, some of the tests that we actually had required much more resources. So many a times we were seeing flaky results, and that was being continued for a long time. But recently, GitHub announced to have larger machines for CI, which is actually working perfectly for us, at least for both training and CATIP. So if we see that CNCF can actually give a long-term solution regarding the resources that we are going to use, and about the number of parallel jobs, etc., right? Like, we can definitely make a switch, but I just want to highlight that it is not an easy switch from one to the other. So we have to really get a long-term commitment, whether we have to do it or not. Presently, for training and CATIP, specifically, we don't see a need in order to switch, because GitHub CI is actually providing enough and more resources for running all the tests. And it is not easy to make a switch to one provider. So if all the repositories do see a need to switch to CNCF, we can definitely do that. But I think that's a decision that we have to take, whether we have to do that or not, and clearly state why we need to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. So I believe for the next steps, I think we need to get more information from CNCF, how those CI environment works. We can collect more information about the cloud hosted versus the GitHub Actions one. But for that, like I said, we might need to open a ticket with the CNCF team. As I'm not listed as the project maintainer, if anyone could do that, or if I can add myself in that list and try to get that account to open a ticket, no matter what is the options here, we could open that ticket and ask for more information. I think it's the best one. And then when we have all that information from CNCF, we can go back to the committee meeting and discuss what would be the best track here, going over GitHub Actions or the cloud hosted environments.
Sounds good. So it's from like, my personal thought would be like to understand the pros and cons for each, right? And figure out the right decision, so that this should be the final switch. Not easy to make that to and fro because of the effort required to move all the tests, etc. So let's have all the pointers with us and then decide what is best for us.
Yeah, agreed. And also I'll see if we can, if I can get more information, if that's a project-wide decision to have one single CI environment, or if it's possible to use for each working group, choose their own CI environment, either cloud hosted or GitHub Actions. I'll take that notes. I'll try to get that ticket open with the CNCF. And when I have all that information, I'll get back to you all, and we can put out the pros and cons and get all of our questions answered from them. Then we can decide on our new home for the CI environment. I think that's it. Any other questions or comments?
Just quickly, Ricardo, like from my side, like, please, can you ask CNCF if we can use this infra as a self-hosted runners? So, because the main problem was not only about resources, but more about maintenance of the infra. So we don't want to migrate GitHub Actions, but probably we do want to have ability to switch the GitHub Actions to run on the CNCF infrastructure with the self-hosted runners. But just a separate node. I can drop you the resources, like what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we can see what would be the best choice here. But I know that they offer those two options. Okay, at last, may I ping you later, Andrew and Josh,
Yes, and I will
to
also, yes.
decide who can open that ticket with CNCF?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Question on timing. Do we want to take this on prior to the 1.9 release or in parallel?
No, it can be done in parallel. I mean, I don't want to. It's still 1 week before the feature freeze. I don't believe we'll have all of this done. But I think this is a midterm plan. There's nothing we can do like near term. As for now, I'm doing my best with pinging the Google team to help us with the CI test they're fading. And then midterm we can discuss moving away from Google CI environment and go to the CNCF hosted one.
Okay. Okay, do we want to move on to new product adoption? Is Mateo here? Oh, Mateo can't. He's got a conflict.
Yeah, maybe I can speak on behalf of him. I was following the latest interactions on the model registry. We have 9% of the work done. We already have the PR for the documentation. We already have a candidate script for syncing up the manifest for model registry under manifest. I would say we're totally on track for model registry. I'm very willing to see this new component on Kubeflow 9, and also I'll be glad to have people to try out model registry and get us all of the feedback needed for us to go to the phase 2 where they're planning to introduce the UI, and also work on all the other topics they've been talking in parallel. Not sure if it's still if it's still ongoing, but it looks like they're looking for an OCI environment for storing all the artifacts, which is great. It goes directly on the things we saw in at KubeCon. There are some customers that use their own model registry implementation using OCI standards. So this is one of the things they've been discussing on enabling on the model registry component for Kubeflow. But just the LDR, we're on track, 9% of the work done. I think we'll have everything set for the feature freeze with the documentation and the manifest sync.
Great. Okay. Any questions on the model registry? There is a use case document that's been created. If you're not sure what you might be able to do with the model registry, I think the team has identified a few use cases. I think it helps understand the value, so I would suggest reviewing that document and commenting on it. I think it'll help us get the add more excitement into the community. It's something that people have been asking for a long time. Okay, this next issue here, activate the Docker Hub token for container image publication. I'm not sure, is this part
Yeah, I
of?
think it was part of the Model S3 work. I think it's about where they're hosting their images.
All right, good. Well, it's good that they're already figuring that out and they're on Docker Hub. Okay, good. Okay, well, I think that's a good model registry update. Do we want to go on to the security team and get an update there?
Sure, if there's nothing else on model registry. So good news, after this call, I have a call right after this one with the security tag group for the CNCF. They have completed the informal review, or what we would call a self-review. So I'm going to meet with them after this call and figure out what our next steps are in that. We now, I think I mentioned it, we have the Google group, so I can add people to that so people can start filing whatever they want the security team to know. They can send it to us via that. So I'll be putting that information out. Also, members of the CNCF security tag have submitted a talk based on their review of Kubeflow to the AI security conference in Seattle in June. So if we get picked, we may need one more person from the community to see if they can join. But so all of that is coming together, and we've got the relationship now with the CNCF and the tag around security. They're helping us. We'll get the next steps and we'll start planning that out. We're getting new people every week joining the security call. So if you want to join in 2 weeks. So we're moving right along. We've now unblocked it. We've now got the review. We'll find out what our next steps are, and then we can keep on going, and we can put out an announcement how people can let us know about vulnerabilities. I also told the group today, if you're a security professional and if you could join Hunter, HUNTR, so I could have the vulnerabilities that are shared there also shared with folks from the team to help, that would be great. But we are making progress. So I'm where we were a year ago to where we are today, we're light years ahead. So that's all good news.
Is there any particular deliveries from the security team that will be visible to people in 1.9?
Julius, I think that was your area.
Most visible will be the OAuth2 proxy. That's also heavily related to the manifest repository. Then there's one point on the agenda regarding network policies for Kubeflow 1.9. I hope that the Kubeflow steering committee clears them as well. And then there are some minor changes. Yeah, and some Google Sum of Code proposals, but they probably will not make it into Kubeflow 1.9.
Is there any effort to coordinate with the working groups to do anything before we get to feature freeze about closing any vulnerabilities, anything like that?
I reached out to, I believe it was notebooks and pipelines based on what had been filed in Hunter. I have not got those resolved yet. Basically, it's like, we're not the maintainers. You have to go talk to this other person, and I can't find that other person. So we have not got those resolved, but we are, as we get them and we identify where, what groups they belong to, I am reaching out. And then we'll make it a more formalized process after 1.9.
So if I understand, maybe I don't, but the majority of our vulnerabilities come from images that are from notebooks.
I think a lot do, and I think a lot come from some of the third party things. I'll have to go back through them. Julius, do you know off the top of your head?
I would have to find the slide again. It's
Well-
in the security working group update. There's a slide regarding the CVEs.
Yeah. We'll have to go back through that, Josh, to get you a better answer. And we'll be prepared for the community calls for that kind of stuff going forward.
My only kind of question here, it's just a question, is like, I think we provide a lot of the notebook images as kind of examples. And I'm just wondering if there's some way to just have one or two that are cleaner and the rest we know aren't clean, but they're just examples.
So speaking of examples in that repo, I mean, I know we're talking about
Yeah.
the notebooks, but the example repo is very out of date. So I've contacted a couple people. I had a meeting last week with some folks who are willing to help us look and see what works, what's out of date, you know, and update all that. I know that is not exactly what you're talking about, but we are going to be working on the examples in order to get those cleaned up.
Yeah, I guess my point is, like, sometimes people run a scan on Kubeflow because it's got all these notebook example images. We get bunches of CVEs, but quite frankly, people build their own.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we get an unfair appearance for images that aren't going to be used anyway.
Yeah. And that's why we want to clean all that up. So I don't know
And
that.
I'm just wondering whether if there's some way that we can say or cut out, or I don't know. I guess
I guess Julius or Kimonas or Matthew, we could take a look at it and see what we can do.
yeah.
I mean, there is a discussion also about moving the splitting up the Kubeflow/Kubeflow repository and solving the permission problems there. I mean, maybe Andrew can talk more about that, and this might help as well to improve our development speed there.
I think we need to dig into it a little bit more and get a better answer. Maybe we can all talk about this and be prepared with a better answer, or at least a plan for the next community meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just with 1.9 coming up, if we could, you know, we dramatically reduce the number of CVEs, but basically we just cut out a bunch of.
I would love to say that. Yes, I would love to.
70% reduction in CVEs anyway. Outreach. What's up with outreach? I think we had some good news there too.
Yeah, so I've been posting on LinkedIn. We're gaining, 30 to 45 followers every week, and so we're getting up there. It looks like Andre, I won't steal your thunder. I'll let you talk about it, but I guess we now have Kubeflow access, so I can start posting. I mean, we got Twitter access or X or whatever the heck it's called these days. We have that access now, so I can hopefully start posting there as well. I've started a content plan that I'll figure out where to put it. I'll do a file somewhere in Kubeflow, so everybody can see. We want to start posting stuff on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays of every week, and I have enough stuff right now queued up to where we can do that. If you've got something you want me to post, for example, Ricardo reached out yesterday and said, "Hey, Amber, can you share that the 1.8.1 release is out?" So it's been shared on our Kubeflow page, and once I get the Twitter access, I can share it there as well. So we're coming right along. So if anybody wants to help out with content creation, content management, we need to really look at some other topics, such as reminding people, this is how you get started. This is where you know, this is where our Slack channels are. This is the breakdown of our working groups. These are what each of the working groups are and what they do. Do you want to be part of it? Here's how you go be part of it. So we need to start working on that outreach plan, but I will have a content plan ready to share by the end of the week. So we'll have that. So yes, Andre.
Yeah, a couple of things. Thanks for this, Amber. Yeah, so James reached out to us to say, I think he was able to recover the Twitter access. I will let you know once James will reply and add you as admin. We need to figure out if we can add more than one person to the Twitter admin, because I don't think they have the similar capabilities as LinkedIn. But we need to see like what is the email should be the super admin and the ability to post in this account. And other things, I think what we should do, I think we discussed this before, but we also covered this in the latest steering committee call. We need to start the outreach working group charter, because I understand that there are so many things happening on your site, Ever, and you need to find volunteers who can help us, who want to be part of this outreach working group.
Yep.
And what was like our initial idea was, yes, we'll have like few folks that we trust to give them the admin access to LinkedIn, Twitter, and other resources. But at the same time, we need to find people in the community who can be part of this working group and just help you in terms of the other tasks you have on your plate, right?
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm handing off security to Julius and whoever else wants to help him. I'll be a backup, but I'm getting ready to hand that off. So yes, because I want to focus on the outreach part.
Yeah, so I think we just need to start this working group creation. Maybe you can drop, I mean, when you have time, just drop the, like just a draft charter, what outreach should be. And then we can find more people who could be part of this working group. Not like as a like people who have admin access, but more for folks who can help you with some other stuff, right? Which you need to delegate the tasks. What do you think about it?
I love that idea. So yeah, I'll shoot something over to you guys.
All right. Yeah, and then we can officially say we have the outreach working group. If you want to be part of this, please join this working group and you can be, I don't know, leader, or we can think about how we can name these people.
I'm just here to help people.
Yeah.
So I will, once we get it stood up, if somebody else wants to like be the lead, that's great. I just want to like mentor and help out. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll help you get it stood up and get everything. And in the meantime, keep posting. And then we can bring some more people in.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we can establish like, I understand that probably we don't want to have a lot of, process around approval and how we go this messages get posted.
Yep.
Because yeah, right now we just don't have the clear review process. But at least the folks who can help you with writing these texts so we can review them quickly and publish, I think that will be beneficial, right, for everyone. So
I think, yes, I love that idea. So my action items on that is I will send over a draft charter for you to you all to look at and see.
Yep.
And then once you guys take a look at that, we can start recruiting for that working group who wants to help. And then you're gonna check on the Twitter to see how we can get access so I can start posting there and others can as well. Yeah, so I think did I miss anything?
yeah, that's it. I mean, you can drop me the charter if you want me to submit the PR in the community repo, but I just want to make this working group official so we can recruit people, right?
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. That's good stuff, right? We're getting access.
We're growing up.
Yeah, let's hope so. We get to control our own destiny in some states. All right, let's move on, if we can, to the TOC update. Julius did ask, what is the status of the TOC creation, the elections, and such. And I had given kind of not a very good answer, but a little bit of an answer earlier. I don't know if any of the other security team members want to chime in and provide an update on kind of what the steering committee is thinking about the TOC at this point. If not, I will do it. Andre, Janu, do you guys want to chime in here, or you want me to do it?
I'm happy. I mean, Josh, if you can speak, you can start, and I can add my thoughts on this.
Okay. So the TOC is basically on hold, and the reason why is that we couldn't figure out ownership responsibilities for the TOC. Like what exactly they would be responsible for and how they would own that and be able to enact change. We think it's very important that if we set up another group, that the group needs to have a very defined charter, a very defined set of these are what they're supposed to do and how they actually enact those rules or those recommendations or those direction strategy. So we all see a need, I think, for some form of group that provides some type of technical strategy and direction. It's just a matter of how would that group actually work with the working groups effectively? And you know, for lack of a better term, could they actually tell the working groups what to do? And we have never done that in our community. It's always been the contributors up to the management, up into, so it starts at the bottom of the people who are actually doing the contributions, you know, working with the working group leads. So we're kind of at this place where we can't figure out the structure properly. And then also delineating the responsibilities between the working group leads and the TOC, and then also the steering committee. You could have three different groups kind of saying three different things. So that's where we came to. Andre, Janu, did I get it about right, or did I miss something?
No, I think
Yeah.
it's right. Like, John, do you want to start?
Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I mean, like I started this draft charter based on our discussion, like discussion with the community. I think like the biggest point here, like we don't want anyone to dictate the roadmap for working groups. And our initial idea was to TOC some sort of the cross working group committee who like responsible to work to understand like our cross components relationship, maybe thinking about security concerns, thinking about like other topics that we still need to cover as the product, right? But at the same time, we just don't want to TOC to be have a more kind of power rather than the working groups, because at the end, the working groups will do the whole work, right? And the contribution to the components. So I know that you previously were working on some sort of the government structure, and we need to discuss it. So my idea was to invite you to one of our steering committee call and discuss it, maybe sometime this week or week after this week,
Okay.
and share your thoughts. And also, like, I'm open to other, like, opinions, like, from the community. What do you think? John, do you want to add something from your side?
Yeah, to the last point Andre
Yeah.
said, right? Yeah. We really love to hear if you have any specific suggestions how we can help and how TOC can actually like get Kubeflow to a next state, right? We couldn't actually figure out the right way to do that, but we are open to suggestions if you have something specific about it.
I was working on two different proposals depending on which way y'all wanted to go. So let me clean those up and just tell me when you want me to present them to you, and I'll present them, and then if anybody else has anything they want to present, they can too.
So let me be clear. We're still, I think, as a steering committee, very open to having a TOC. There's no like, hey, there's nobody that's really against having a TOC. We just need to figure out what the proper structure would be, was kind of my take from things. Andre, Janu, is
Yes,
that?
I want to say I want to see more people in the committees, and I want to see more diversity across the committees, and more people get like active roles in the community. It's more question is about like how we could structure our working groups and the TOC all together, right? Because there is very huge needs to explain people what is actually Kubeflow, and we discussing this a lot last time. And the problem that I see again and again, people don't really understand what we're doing in the broader community. And I'm speaking about like for the whole ML community. What I heard from in the KubeCon, what I heard from other like Kubernetes communities, they don't really understand what we're doing overall. And this is the problem because Kubeflow is like a very complex product, and it can be used as an end-to-end ML platform, and at the same time, it has a lot of power of composability. So the problem is like we just don't have a lot of product people who is active in the community right now who can help us to explain people what actually we're doing. And I'm talking about like the broader ML ops community, right, in general, and what is the key role of Kubeflow there, right? So another idea was to TOC might be helping to establish this statement, right? Because if you want to move forward, we really need to answer these questions and explain it clearly what exactly we're doing, right? Yeah, and again, like this discussion around splitting the repos also from our side significantly help to with this confusion around what is Kubeflow. Because I think I mentioned this in the issue, but one of the person reached out to me during the KubeCon and say, "Hey, I just go to Kubeflow, and just don't see the all components and submit the PR, but PR, well, like it just basically never got reviewed because this PR is not related to notebooks." And a lot of people really get upset or confused about what we're doing. So one role of TOC might be to establish it, right, moving forward. Yeah. So maybe the next, from my understanding, next step, Ember, you will join our call. We will have initial conversation, and if anyone in the community have your own opinion, just let us know, and maybe we can discuss it. Right?
Sure, just let me know when. I'd prefer it to be after this week if possible.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the network policies for 1.9. This is a item for Julius.
So,
Okay.
George, before we move on, can we quickly, so because Julius is here, I just want to speak about this right access because I think it's important, right, Julius? So, Julius, do you want to speak about network policies, like from your side? What do you think?
Just continue as you like.
Oh, all right. Yeah, because I guess like it's blocking issue for all of you, right? So make the release. I just want to make it clear. I know that Mighty not on the call and Cameron also not here, but Julius, did you get a chance to check like the James' latest message?
What do you mean?
Like James Wu recently commented on this PR to give you the right access to the not like the notebooks working group give you right access to the Kubeflow repo, and he just left the one comment yesterday.
Yes, I've read the comment. It's about, first of all, I think providing Kimonas and Matthew right access because I'm not yet a
Oh, okay.
maintainer.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
Yeah, sorry, I thought like you're also on the notebooks working group. Oh, you're on the manifest, right? You're not on notebooks. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I understand. So I think like we need to unblock it. I don't know like if Matthew can comment it and maybe cameras also, but our main point was just please let's start an issue a thread what cameras proposed, and we can give you the right access for a limited amount of time so we can make the release right. And trigger the actions and do other things. So
I was also wondering about the owner's file, root one. I'm not sure, maybe we have to check this as well, but if they're happy with the write permissions to the let's say unprotected branches, then that's fine.
yeah. Yeah, let's move on anyway. So I think like we will wait like maybe for few for 1 day for like their response on the notebooks working group, and then we can move forward. So I don't think we need to spend time right now.
Okay, on this network policies item. What is?
I don't know yet whether it has been discussed in the KC.
Yeah. Sorry, Julius. Like, I remember like you pinged me several weeks ago, right, about this PR. I think we haven't discussed this in the last call. And I just don't have enough time to review it yet. But I think my main point was, do we need to somehow explain to the distribution owners that change will be implemented? So they need to do some work on their side. This is only my concern was.
Yeah, we anyway have to explain them that we now switch the authentication service from OIDC auth service to auth2 proxy, which is a major change regarding security already. So probably we can just piggyback on that.
Yeah, in that case, I mean, if it's just a significant change and requires some work from distribution, we might need to get a feedback from them, right? And when we want to merge it before 1.9, right?
I don't think it requires much feedback from them. If they
okay.
don't like them, they can disable them. I just want to enable them by default. If they don't want them or not ready, it's a single line change.
So guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding about distributions, they have their own fork of the Kubeflow manifest, and they adapt their manifest to their own distributions, right? So I don't believe this would be a big thing for distributions, since based on what you just said. If it comes by default, it's just a matter of them to make the changes in their own manifest and make changes to use OIDC instead of all proxy, right? So what I'm trying to say here is it something that still needs broader discussion with the distribution owners, or it's something that we can just merge it and go and start discussing with the distribution owners about the biggest changes, so they can be prepared for making those changes in their own forks?
Don't think there's much to talk about. They are just an additional component that they can disable as they like. And it's anyway their decision what they do in their distribution. So I don't see that much involvement from the distributions regarding this.
The request here, Julius, is you're looking to get this merged.
Yes. I mean, I can merge it myself. That's not a problem. I just wanted to ask the KC first and make people aware of it.
So just to make it clear, I guess like it's more about for the components who are just not under Istio, right? To isolate them, like the networking between the pods in the user namespaces, right? Is it correct, Julius?
Yeah, that's the first step. This just protects the control plane, not the user namespaces. So
So do we have any network which is posed not under the Istio gateway? Like how people communicate with them?
all Kubeflow pipeline executions are not on the service mesh, and also some other components are not on the service mesh.
But Kubeflow is like Kubeflow pipelines exposed through the central dashboard when we use this as the part of Kubeflow, like or you're talking about like the API server?
The KFP API server, I think, might be on the service mesh, but the execution itself might be not. At least the one in the user namespaces. So this is just the first step, enabling it for the control plane. Later on, if there's enough demand, I could also think about securing the user namespaces, but this might be something that the distribution will take care of. At least I know some companies who are already using the network policies that I developed.
So let me ask you this. This is a breaking change. It's configurable back to, and we want to configure it to the new OAuth.
I don't think that it's in any way breaking, because it just allows what was possible before, at least if you're not malicious attacker. And yes, you can disable it as you like.
So it's not a breaking change.
I would say so.
So to have a easier route, how about having like this change in, but again make the default state, the default behavior as the default. So which actually says network policies to be disabled as a default, so that like people can try it out. And if they
That's
actually
already the status that we have. They are already in and they are disabled by default. I just
Right.
want to flip the switch.
I'm saying like it can actually get into the common state, but I'm trying to see. Say I'm only worried from a distribution standard the point of view, whether for example, OpenShift, for example, like do they allow it? Any other restrictions from their side? Like that's the only thing that comes to my mind. Otherwise, it is good to go.
Are you talking about OpenShift?
Like I'm just giving an example. Yeah, if a distribution has specific restrictions in having that. If distributions are okay, I don't see any problems in getting this.
Yeah, but because what, for example, like Julius, some of them using Cilium, right? Maybe not Istio, right? So did you think about it as well?
I think that's also fine. The network policies are orthogonal to Istio.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been open a while. My kind of take is it sounds like we should merge it, but I'm glad we should probably get to a place where we get a decision because it's been open so long. How do we get a decision on this in the next week or so? I mean, is that enough time?
Yes, that should be enough time.
So
So
by
do
the
we-
feature freeze, we should get this done before the feature freeze, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, that we're at time. This was a good meeting. Great updates, good things moving forward. Thank you, everyone who's working the different parts and bringing them back in. Look forward to call. We really do need to move this call to the non-Matthew paid Zoom account. That means we need to change the invite and change the bridge on the invite. I think we need to do this, if not next week, the week after, but we need to do it. It's not fair to Matthew to leave this on his account. So let's make an effort to get that done in the next week or so. Maybe next week you use the same bridge, but after that, let's make a commitment to move to the new bridge and figure that out. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sounds-
All right. Thanks, everybody. Going to any last topics, anything else?
I think Julius wants to cover GSOC, but I'm not sure if we have time right now. Yeah, anyway, so maybe we can do this as a follow-up in Slack. So we just need to review the proposals because we just don't have enough time, right? It's already 9th of April. Yeah, just to push this forward with the yeah, I think Josh, you're on mute, sorry. Josh, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
So just to bring this to the fore, it's GSOC decisions need to be made, right? So
Yeah.
is there anything in particular that somebody needs to do by a certain time?
No, I think we need to review proposals by 10th of, I mean, by 11th of April and start to do other work. I think like we still have an ability to add more mentors. So if you want to be a mentor, reach out to us. And we definitely need more help to work with these students during the summer. So
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Somebody told me we had what, 80?
yeah, we have 59 proposals and 250 students who joined the Slack channel. Some of them already start contributing, which is great. Well, I hope, you know, we can find more people who can be part of the maintainers moving forward. So it's a good time.
It's great news. Good work. Well, we'll get Ramesh here and try to figure what his view is on this as well. Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for next week, but I guess we have some near-term stuff to get done before that. Okay, anything else? All right, live long and prosper. See y'all.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks, Ron.
That's a